Welcome to the Teacher's Lounge with the Beachy Educator. I'm Dana, your host, aka the Beachy Educator on Instagram. Here we discuss teaching tips, best practices, and the education profession overall. Now, today's episode is all about continuing to manage our classroom during the holiday season, aka right now. Now, for my district, we still have one more full week of school right before winter break officially begins. And to say the least, I think we have kind of lost students since before the fall break, and they're already in vacation mode. So, how do we manage students during this crazy time? Now, for most schools and districts, I think we are all running on a tight schedule. There's a scope and sequence that teachers have to keep up with, and that, of course, serves as a guide on what to teach and when to teach it. But as always, it does not always take into account all the other things that occur during the school week that can and will interfere with our schedule. Now, as teachers, we always find a way and we carry on and we make it work. But of course, this also includes the complete chaos that is the stretch after Thanksgiving slash the fall break, and then right before leading into winter break. And if you are teaching during this time, I think you are very well aware that the energy has shifted during this time amongst our students. And for the most part, we as teachers have kind of lost them to the excitement of other things that are just going on in their mind, and understandably so. They're excited for the break. I mean, we all get it. We can't completely loosen the reins on still having to run our classroom though. So, how do you get through this crazy time? Well, I'm here to give you 3 tips. So, number one is to lean into the excitement a little bit. You just can't really fight it all together. And as much as we want to make students understand that you still have school, you still have work to do, there's still homework, so on and so forth, just pushing on that energy onto them, they're just going to push back and it's really not going to work. You're going to be frustrated because they're not doing exactly what you're telling them to do when you're telling them to do it. And it's just a lot easier if you just lean into the excitement a little bit. So it's totally okay to just joke around with students a little bit more. And for the students that I teach, they're a little bit older, upper elementary, and they can articulate themselves pretty well. So they always have some kind of story to tell you. And of course, even with the younger students and even the older students, always have something to share. But especially during this time of the year, they want to tell you, about what their plans are for winter break, where they went to during the fall break. It's like they want to share their life with you. And as hard as it may be to include that time because, we're always doing something, just try to give them a minute or two to tell you and let them feel open enough to let them express themselves. Now, there's only one of you, right? So you can't have however many students you have come up to you and tell you about their life every single moment of the day. That would just be absolute chaos. So I would suggest, maybe during the morning time or a transition time or just a small few minutes wherever you feel fit to just include that into your day of having a discussion about what they really want to talk about, right? It's not about the text. They don't really want to talk about that. They don't really want to explain that math problem. They want to talk about other things, and it's totally fine of providing them that time during your class because they're going to take it anyway. They're going to find an opportunity to do it when you don't necessarily want them to. So just plan for it. So again, just kind of lean into their excitement and let them be excited because it's totally natural for them to want to be talking about other things. So just like plan it in your day. Now, number two suggestion would be to, of course, still remind them of the expectations. Now, school is still school, right? They still have things that they need to do. We still have things as teachers that we have to fulfill. So, even though we have the break coming up, as much as students would like it to be a free for all, we really just can't do that. We can't afford for it to be that way. It's also like not really safe to let things just be completely out of control, right? So we still want to remind students of the expectation, and it's not to be done in a mean way either. Now, it can be again frustrating when students are continuously not doing what they're supposed to do. But during this time, I think even the most well behaved student might be a little bit off. So it's not a chance to remind them and scream at them and just belittle them in any kind of way. Like, you already know what you need to do. Like, I can't believe I'm saying this one more time. And I'm guilty of it. I have said these things. We're human, right? But so we're not expending our own energy on trying to get students to do what they're supposed to do and never remind them, right? It's okay to remind them. Something that I do on a daily basis, even though it is December, and as much as I would like it to be just an automatic behavior that they do, is to walk in and write in their planners and take out a book. They're talkative. And as much as I would like it, like I said, to be automatic, it's just not, especially right now. And it's okay. And I simply just tell them upon coming in, here's a reminder. I actually don't even say here's a reminder. I just say, you know what? I really appreciate those who walked in, got out their planners, and started writing down their target. I praise them. Like, I praise the students who are doing it, because I guarantee you there's one student who will be doing the right thing, and the rest of them probably won't be. They're probably chatting and talking. But again, like I said, they're excited, right? They want to talk about other things. And I understand. So it's a simple reminder of, hey, this is the expectation. I appreciate those who are doing it. And by and large, by maybe the third student that I give praise to, all of them are doing what they were supposed to do. And I don't say, you know, you're always supposed to be doing this. You should already know. I don't say that. I just try to stay away from that if I can. But again, sometimes it does slip out. So a daily reminder here and there will not hurt. It's honestly for their benefit, for them to remember, oh, yeah, I am in school and I still have things to do. So totally fine before an activity is started to set that expectation and remind them of it. And that includes anything where there's a little bit more free range, like center time. So that's a huge one for me. Every single day I do centers. Every single day I call each group one at a time and tell them the expectation. So and so group, you are on the computer. You know you're doing this at a level 0, or you're doing this silently on task the entire time. And along with the expectation, just give a simple consequence of what will happen if they don't follow through. So that's that for number 2. Now, moving on to number 3. Tip number 3 is to plan time for a little bit of fun. Now, not only is it fun for the students, it's also fun for you too. And it is, like I said, a time where students are really happy and they want to be doing something a little bit more creative. And we never really have time for creativity during our regular our school year time, right? And we know that this time, even administrators are a little bit more relaxed on the expectation on, like, okay, the tests have to be done at a certain time, at least for my school district. But they're a little bit more lenient on the types of lessons that you do. And if you incorporate more creativity, that is totally fine. There is some teachers I know who are taking the time to incorporate more creativity already embedded within their lesson that they have to do. So For example, if they're doing a writing assignment and they make it a little bit more winter themed or just something that they know students are already kind of excited about, and then just do like a craft that goes with it. And I'm not talking about like kindergarten students who I love, because those teachers just seem like they're always having a good time and like always doing a craft and always doing something cute. Now that they're not learning, like they're just incorporating it within their lessons, and that's great. And the older kids want that. Like they want the same thing. They miss that. They want to do the crafts and they want to do things that are more creative. So just plan for it to be a little bit more fun. And it makes your day smoother, right? If they're having fun, they're engaged. Engaged students are learning, they're participating, they're doing exactly what you want them to do. Now, you can create the reins on the activity and the expectation for the activity, but they're doing something that's, outside of the ordinary. And they do want this time to be a little bit more flexible. So just plan for it. Um, Next week, we have other things that the school is planning for. So, like, there's a bounce house day, and the kids are excited for that. But that is something that is just school wide. So you can do some things fun just within your own classroom or within your own grade group. And it doesn't have to be super expensive or this huge extensive activity. I mean, students like hot chocolate, or they like, oh, I don't know, just some kind of game to play, even if it's something as simple as like a Kahoot, which is a website where they're essentially taking quizzes. But if you find one that's fun and educational at the same time, then boom, you've already merged the two. So again, just to make it through the last few days or the last week or so that you may still have, just make it a little bit more fun. Still remind students that they are in school. They can't just completely go out of control, but that can simply be done with a reminder of the expectations, whether it's coming into the room or whether it's for the activity. However you need it to be done, just remind them and lean into this time, because like I said, you can't fight it. The students are going to do what students do because they're kids, whether they're little kids or big kids in high school. You really can't fight the excitement and that they're just really ready for a break, but we are too. So we all can understand just as human beings, right? So that is that for today's podcast about how to make it through winter break. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast on making it through that winter break stretch. We might all say it every year, but honestly, this year's stretch to the break just seems extra long. This past Monday had already felt like an entire week had gone by, and it had only been one day. So we are all just doing our best to make it through. And I truly hope that you all have a wonderful winter break going forward and that it's rejuvenating and relaxing. And when you come back, you are ready and better than ever for 2023 up until the summer break. Now, you can follow me on Instagram at The Beachy Educator for more tips. And please follow the podcast for new episodes when they come out. Thank you again for listening and have a great rest of weekend and week. Bye.